Hello, hello, successful souls. I'm super happy that you're here hanging out with me today because today is a special episode because it's an inner feminine beast interview. Today's guest, before I introduce her, it's just funny to me when I think about how small the online world is. I always talk about the power of connection, the power of proximity. It's so important to realize that through somebody and knowing somebody, there's always a way to grow and create a bigger impact. And so when I met today's online guest, it was through actually one of my previous clients who I talk about all the time. She was a guest on our show because she's doing amazing big things, Raina Baton. She connected with somebody online who she connected me with, who connected me with today's guest. And she's laughing behind stage, I see her. And then when she and I connected, we realized that my best friend is in the same mastermind as her, and she loves hosting summits, who my current business coach was just part of. So it's just like, what? And then we realized we had some of the similar business coaches in the past, and it's just like, but of course, right? But of course. So just want to remind you to be connecting to people, to be reaching out. And it's really important that you remember together we rise. So it was just last month that our guest today invited me to be part of her online summit. And I had an absolute blast. I met so many amazing people through that. And actually several of our people that just recently joined our group was through her summit. So of course, it's a big thank you. And just because she's definitely 100% an IFB, I had to have her on our show today. So I'm going to introduce her in just a second, but of course I want to read her bio. So Christina Jandali is our IFB guest today. Christina is a confidence boosting, cash creating business growth strategist who helps coaches and course creators start, grow, and scale their digital businesses online. After becoming a millionaire in her 20s, what? That's amazing. Losing it and rebuilding it all over again. That kind of sounds like your girl, doesn't it? That sounds like me. And working in finance, where she managed over $500 million in client assets. Christina realized she was done with the shackles of corporate. I like to call them the golden handcuffs, right? She was ready to break free to build her own dream business and not somebody else's. So in just 6 years, dope, that's amazing. Christina built a company from ground zero to multi-seven figures. I love using the word multi-seven figures, while helping thousands of new, aspiring, and seasoned business owners in more than 68 countries around the world. So that's exactly why she's here today. We're going to talk all about really, ideas of, creating community, creating connection to really get your business up and going, no matter actually what stage you're at. So without further ado, I'd love to have you all welcome Christina Jandali. Hey, Christina, thanks for being here today. Oops, you're muted, Mama. Let's unmute you. Here we go. Hold on.
That helps. Step one, unmute. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I feel like that's how every podcast Zoom call always starts. It's always like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are we good for the first 5 minutes? But yes, I can hear you and we're ready to rock and roll. So I was just saying, it's so interesting. That's actually the very first time I ever read your legit bio. And it just blew my mind how much you and I had in common. It's, having a lot of wealth, losing a lot of wealth, going on the roller coaster of being an entrepreneur, climbing the corporate ladder, getting to the very top, and then realizing there's still so much more for me, that I really want to do this for myself. And you and I have talked about it before, but definitely being an entrepreneur is the greatest spiritual journey of any of any road that you can take. I always say, if you want to know what you love about yourself, be an entrepreneur. If you want to know what you really don't like about yourself, be an entrepreneur. Your strengths, your weaknesses, all the things. So you've definitely been on the journey and you have tons of wisdom to share with us. And one of the things that I totally vibe with you on, and I completely agree with you about, and I just actually taught this to my clients inside my VIP Inner Circle, which is my business consulting and sales strategy, is the importance of building a community online and really having a Facebook group. So you have so much wisdom to share about this. And I really just wanted to pass the mic. Of course, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, but why is it so important for a business owner to have a Facebook group? What is the idea behind that?
Such a good question. So first off, I think the big question that people get hung up on too is what's the difference between a group and a business page or other social media platforms? There's always something that's coming up. There's always another platform. There's always something. And so before even getting into that, I think even just addressing what is it? What's the difference between that? And so I liken, if you think about your Facebook business page or your Instagram or TikTok or Clubhouse or whatever you're spending your time on outwardly on social media, if you think about that, it's like your storefront. It's like you give people a little teaser of like what you're about, and people decide, hey, do I want to know more about this person? Like, do I want to go deeper with them? Do I want to follow them? Do I have an interest in what they're sharing, essentially? And that's the storefront. But your Facebook group is where you have the opportunity to welcome people inside the store. It's like, come try on this clothes. Like you're seeing like that, you're seeing like the mannequin all dressed up, but like come on inside and like, let's go try this on, or a digital living room. So the sense or the feeling that you have inside of a group is entirely different than any other social platform, because it's the only community-based container out there that is really created when it comes to group. And for me, like I first, when I started my business, especially coming from a background successful in the corporate space, like I just expected it to be a lot easier when I started my business.
Really?
Like, what do you mean this is going to take me longer? What do you mean this isn't going to be instant?
Sorry.
No, it's totally right. And so I just expected things to happen a lot faster. And I was like, well, I'm smart enough. I can figure this out. Like I've been successful before. And I felt like I had to like prove myself all over again and starting from scratch and like going through the training wheels all over again when it felt like I'd graduated far from the training wheels previously. And so it was kind of going back to that experience. But I went through a period of time where as I got started and as I was doing things, I was making some progress and I was getting clients here and there, but I wasn't coming even close to where I wanted to get to. And out of frustration, I remember just thinking like, what the heck is it that I'm missing? Because something isn't landing here. Like I'm missing something. And I remember going back and thinking about a moment that I had with one of my mentors when I was in the corporate space. And her name was Bev. And we went out for lunch. We're having a glass of wine. And I said, Bev, like, tell me, like, what's this? Like, you're successful, like you work with so many incredible business owners, and as I was at the time as well, but I'm like, tell me, like, what's the secret to success? She was nearing retirement, and I thought, I'm gonna learn all that I can from her before she exits. And she says, Christina, it's really simple. I'm like, okay, this is even better. This is going to be a simple answer. So I lean in and I'm waiting for this like earth-shattering response. And she says, it's really simple, Christina. It's just about building relationships.
Yeah,
I was like,
100.
This isn't what I wanted to hear. Like I wanted like some magic bullet answer of something, but I knew that there was truth behind it. But it wasn't until I was thinking back of that moment where I realized that as I was building my business, I was kind of getting obsessed with stats. Like we like numbers and ego metrics. Like, okay, how many people are liking this or commenting on this, or how many people on my email list? How many people are opening my emails? How many people are reading my emails, clicking the emails? And we get obsessed with these stats and these numbers that we're supposed to be looking at least I did anyways. I'd like refresh. Did it change? And I realized that I missed the connection piece, which had been such an important piece in developing the success that I had previously had in my corporate career. And I thought, well, what's the best way to create that connection online? And that's when I realized with the free Facebook group. And that first month that I started my Facebook group, I went from, struggling to even have my first 10K month to $30,000 like cash in the bank that month. Right. I was like, whoa, I'm really on to something. And my Facebook group, using Facebook groups as a tool has generated multiple 7 figures per year in my business as a result of applying a connection-based approach, which I know that you're such a big stand on as well.
Yeah. So how does the Facebook group actually convert into dollars? How does that work? Is there a big process behind it, or I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah. So I break it up into 3 categories with your group. So you think about like everything starts with hello. First impressions matter. And so the moment that someone clicks to join your group is the moment that they've just said yes to being in your space. And they're hot. Like they're a hot lead. Like they've just come in. They've just said yes to you. They're going in the group, and that first impression, that first experience that they're going to have is going to determine how they're going to show up. Yeah. And so starting with hello, how they're welcomed into the group, you having a connection with them, DM conversation, social selling, introducing yourself to them, but just connection-based approach of connecting with them, welcoming them into the group, not because, once a week I do a welcome post and I'll tag them once a week on my welcome post because I can check off the box of doing that. But like the moment that they come in, you're actually helping, like having them feel welcome, seen, heard, valued, and letting them know what they can expect from that. So it starts with hello. That's number one, hands down, for sure. And it's so often missed. So the moment they come in, then when we think about what we're doing inside of our group, there's two things that are going on inside of your group, two types of content. There's maintenance content, and then there's your sales system content. And most people think that they're the same thing and they get stuck. So maintenance content is your day-to-day conversational content that is nurturing. It's doing three things. It's nurturing your people. It's nurturing and engaging with them. It is building trust with them because you're consistent with it. And so they know that they can rely on you to show up. So you're building trust. Consistency creates trust. And number three, it's teasing about how you work with people, how you can help people. It's like planting seeds so people can clearly understand how you can support them. So maintenance content, what it doesn't do, maintenance content doesn't sell. Most people think that maintenance content is going to be there to sell. Maintenance content, you must have a skill level of 9 or 10 out of 10 in selling to convert effectively with your maintenance content. And most people just aren't necessarily at that skill level.
Maintenance.
What's that?
What exactly do you mean by maintenance content?
So maintenance content might be, maybe you're doing a weekly live stream in there. It's what I recommend with doing a weekly live stream and then having all of your posts that week somewhat related to the conversation on that topic for that week. So let's say, what may be a topic, Cynthia, that you might talk about?
We talk about everything. So let's talk about, a lot of it is creating, connection to your higher self through journaling. How's that? Well, that's spiritual.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So like 3 steps to tap into your higher self through journaling. Let's say that's the topic of your live stream. And, now we want to create questions around, so there's 2 topics that you're really talking about. Like journaling is the vehicle or the avenue, and then connecting to their higher self, right? So we're talking about two different areas that we could tap into. Right. So we could speak into, we could ask a question. How do you know when it's your higher self speaking to you? Question mark. And you're just seeing what people say. Yeah. I don't know. Or maybe I do know, or I know that when, they're just giving answers. And then that could be a question. So how do you know? Another question might be, do you have, like, it could even be something where you share a picture. It's like, here's a picture of my, every morning I spend time in my morning routine journaling, and you share a picture of like your journal and your pen that you use. And like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And then people are just taking picture of like their journals, and it's like fun, but it's just conversational around the topic.
So, to engage, to really kind of see who's participating, to boost some algorithms as well, but also to like really just create that sense of community, not necessarily to convert, right?
Exactly.
So, okay, got it.
Yeah. And then, but the beauty is with that content, like if you're asking them, like, how do you know when you're tapping into your higher self? Like the answers that they give you for that is like copy. It's language that you get to use when you speak to your people, because now you're speaking to them in their language and their way of describing things, right? And if they don't know, then you could ask deeper. Well, you could ask deeper questions and you can carry that conversation. So that's maintenance content. Got it. It's everyday stuff that you're doing inside of your group that's creating connection, engagement, and still conversation around what you teach, but in a fun way and in a way that's helping understand your ideal clients in a more meaningful way. Yeah. Now, your sales system content is like your campaigns that are meant to take a lead from a lead and to turn them into a buyer. It's like the step-by-step pieces that you're going to take them through to make that buying decision. So maybe you use a challenge. Maybe you do, like a masterclass type webinar that you're going to bring people through. Maybe it's a video series. Whatever it is your process. Your sales process is like your sales mechanism that you're using. That's the sales mechanism content that you have in your group. So if you're effective with your maintenance content and you're keeping people highly warm and engaged and you're creating conversation of what you do, when you make invitations into your sales system for people to participate in your event, that's going to give them a mini result. That's going to move them towards that buying decision. You're going to have all these people that are excited to sign up. And they already are seeing you as the person that can help support them because you've built that and developed that relationship with them. but where most people go wrong is they try to combine both of them all into one and think it's like, okay, I'm going to sell my everyday content. I'm going to put a post out there. Hey, if you need help with this, reach out to me. And it's like, okay, that's great. And like, don't miss the mark on building the relationship with your people. And yes, you can put those posts here and there, but they're never going to be as effective as if you bring people through your sales system and you bring a group of people all the way through your process to lead them to going to that buying decision. So starts with hello, that first impression. You've got your maintenance content, and then you've got your sales system content. And those are like the three avenues where you're driving people to purchase.
Yeah. So this is funny. I had this conversation legit yesterday. I think it'd be fun to share with you to see how you kind of take it. But I really work well with like analogies and stories. And I really like to simplify this concept and how I was teaching it yesterday. So I was like, think of your Facebook group as like the hottest nightclub on the internet, right? Like it is the place to be, and you feel comfortable because you're the hostess with the mostest. It's your nightclub. You're the owner. You want to tell anybody and everybody about it. And people are often like, I'm not DMing people. That's spammy. That's scammy. Like, ugh. And I'm like, no, it's called social media, and you're proud of what you're offering, and you're just being friendly and extending an invitation. Just like if you were in a networking event, think of the internet as a giant networking event. You're going to go up to people. Hey, this party's happening over here. I'd love for you to come check it out. If you want to come, bring your friends. It's going to be great. These are the things that we talk about. And it's not just I. This is where I'm going to sell, and I'm going to be great, and I'm going to teach. It's like I'm creating a community where we talk about this. We love to have this, and we would love to have you. So then what happens is they come to your nightclub, and there's a bouncer at the door, right? That's where you have like your questions that people will answer. You just kind of get that information. But what happens is because you don't want to start qualifying leads outside of your group because it's awkward. It's like, why are you grilling me and asking me so many questions? I don't even know you that well. But what happens is when you have this Facebook group, it almost works as a database, because when you're going live and when you're putting content out there, you're not longer just like talking to see, you don't know who's listening or what's happening. When they come in, you can actually start tracking it and not just like connecting, but like really seeing who's watching, who's participating, and really figure out who you want to work with too, not just seeing if they want to work with you. So they go through the bouncer, they come in, and because they're now in your house, in your community, it's okay to start connecting and really getting to know them. And again, being the hostess with the mostest. Before you go and view where my jewelry is in my room, and before you go through my wine cellar, I just want to know who you are. I'm Cynthia. I'm here to support you, but tell me about you. What are you working on? What do you got going on? Okay, great. Can I grab you a cocktail? Would you like a napkin? Like, some kind of something to, protect them. And as you get to know people more and more, you realize there's some that you just really love, like connecting with, that I kind of say like, would you like to come to the VIP lounge? Would you like to come to this area? And then these are your most qualified leads that you really are connecting with on a deeper level, because they are most likely to convert. So it's kind of like this process that happens within the Facebook group that can't happen on like other areas. And so I was explaining it like a nightclub yesterday, and I was like, I get it now. That makes sense. Like what we're doing through this process. So like you find them out there, you invite them, you ask them some questions to make sure if they can come in. They come in, you're supposed to be the host, you help them, but then you really find out who are the ones that are most like your ideal client and kind of have that as your VIP section. You work with them, you connect with them, and then they are most likely the people that, come to your event and decide to buy. So it's great for community. It's great to serve. It's great to host all your assets, but it's also like the best way to create that database of your people. So do you agree with all that? Does that make sense to you? Do you kind of?
I think it's brilliant. Love it. Totally in agreement with it. And it's, it's funny. People have this perception of like you're talking about, is like, they don't want to invite people. They don't want to tell people about it, or they think it's, this awkwardness. And I always say, it's like, imagine if you had the cure to cancer. Like, are you not going to tell anyone? Like, are you just going to keep it to yourself? Like, you're just going to be hush hush and just say like, well, it's up for them to figure it out. No, you'd be getting out there and making sure that everybody knows, because you've got something that's so important and so valuable to people, and it's going to change lives. And we don't want you to be the best kept secret, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. And if you're proud of what you offer, you want to tell everybody, exactly, and connect with everybody. So the other thing I wanted to ask you about is, what's fun about having a Facebook group too, and when it's your Facebook group, like, you're the boss, right? It's kind of like you're the host, you run everything. But one of the things that is most difficult, and we talk a lot about this, the reason I was smiling so much earlier when you were telling your story about when you were being a corporate woman and when you started your own company and how it was like, oh my gosh, I was at the very top and now I started this new thing. And if anybody's going to do it, I know it's me because I got to the top here. I'm going to get to the top here. I know I'm not a gamble. I know I'm going to be a winner. But damn it, I'm at the very beginning and I forgot what it feels like to be at the beginning. And I used to have all these people that would get me coffee and delegate, and things too. And now it's by myself. And it's like, it's a mindset game. But I think the hardest thing for newer entrepreneurs is that self-discipline because now they're their own boss. And it's not that they have to go to this meeting that's already scheduled for them. And, they have all these things put in their calendar. They have to do that for themselves. And one of the things that people really mess up on with the Facebook group is being consistent in it. And consistency and repetition truly is the key to success. So what do you suppose is like a great kind of schedule for people to do in their Facebook group? Or how do they stay more consistent so that they can convert inside their group?
So it's funny, as you were talking about this, I remember when I first transitioned, I used to be going to the office and I'd wear suits to the office all the time. And I couldn't wrap my head around getting into like work mode without putting a suit on. So I'd literally at home, I would get dressed up like as I was going to the office because I was like, okay, it's game on now. I'm in the zone. And I'd be focused on that. Now I'm pretty casual. I'm usually in my Lulu comfy clothes at home. But
here, this is bad. But do you always have your yoga pants on? I got like
totally, yes.
It's possible, but you can't tell. I'm always like
the top out. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So true. So it's so interesting. I love structure and I hate structure. Mm-hmm. Like I love having processes and systems in place, but I hate feeling like I have to like follow something to the T and stick with the schedule. And so I've actually had a really hard time finding a way of effectively being productive that felt fun still for me, that didn't feel like I was like being squeezed and controlled in ways. I'm like, I want freedom, but then here I'm trying to create structure. So I have a totally like opposite way of like what people mostly would go through with doing it. So I'll go through and I'll write out like on sticky notes. I'll take sticky notes and I'll write the things that I'm doing. So depending on what I'm in. So let's say for example, I'm running through a launch. And let's just say that's like one of the activities I'm doing. And I know we're talking about day-to-day maintenance content. So you could do this for that as well, but I'll just give you an example. So in that, I know that there's 3 stages that I'm going to go through. I know that I'm going to go through the promotion phase. I know that I'm going to go through the selling phase. And then I know that I'm going to go in the deliver phase. Right. So under promotion, I would write on a sticky note, like, I'd take these sticky notes and I just put one thing per thing. I'd be like, okay, what's one thing I have to do for promotion? And this could be done by me or someone on the team that has to go do it. And I'll put one thing for each one. And I'll have my whole list of all these things and I'll color code them. So it's like one color for promo, one color for selling, one color for deliver. Then I have them all laid out, and then I have like my whiteboard kind of behind me. And then every day I have to pick off like 3 items in the category that I'm focused on right now. And then like, if I'm in multiples of them. So then I'll go and I'll pull off the categories that I want to do because I have them all organized. I'm like, okay, what are the 3 things that I want to do right now? So I don't have to do it on this time. And it's like, okay, when I do these, I batch these together, I'll take those 3 things off. And that's how I go through completing. And then when I'm done, I stick it in a jar and then I get to look at all the things that I did. But these are the things that you do all the time. So I have like the totally backwards way of that's how
This is so funny. This is so funny. Simplicity is everything. Simplicity is everything. And I think it's so funny because, my company is our first year. We did multi-6 figures. You are a multi-7-figure entrepreneur. And literally everything I do is on sticky tabs. It's on written to-do list. And my walls are covered in whiteboards. And it's like my girlfriends, they get on, they're like, okay, we're going to open a Asana and Trello and they're connected and they link. And I'm just like, no, I run my whole company on paper. Like, I teach my clients too, like, yeah, we can have systems, but if I use systems, it's Excel spreadsheets. Like literally, like, check this out. move this. Here's my calendar. It's
Yes.
like, well, on paper, like I'm just a visual person. I'm a hands-on person.
This is my calendar too. I have
it. That's what I'm saying. How funny! Like we're like the same person. It's kind of freaking me out in a good
That
way.
is too funny. But I have the team has to put this digitally, the calendar digitally, so they can see it. I'm like, no, I need to like.
I have my team. I'm like, can you handle that thing and send it to me? Because
yes, and then it's all in pencil so that I can like make adjustments.
But yeah, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know how to delegate, and it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It's just like, what are you doing every day to hold yourself accountable? What are you doing every single day to be responsible and, to be disciplined and have integrity? Because every day counts, every day matters. And I just love that you have that compound effect that you can actually see. Like you have a visual compound effect where you have eventually do all of it and it has exponential growth. One Post-it turns into two, which now you can literally see hundreds in your jar. So that's a really cool thing. I might steal that from you. So I'll credit you though. Don't worry.
And then the beautiful thing about that too is like every time you look at it, it gives you like shot of endorphin because it's like in the completion of something, right? And you get to see how it. Like, yes, like look at.
So good. So good. That's
totally.
Really fun. There's something else. So you're helping your clients to really scale their businesses online. And one of the things that you really promote them to do, in similar to me, is just having that Facebook group. But also something that I really loved about you that I know you really focus on as something that you value and you really promote and you help your clients to do is something that I vibed with you on immediately. We had a conversation behind the scenes when we first were connecting. And again, just want to remind you, social media connection, this all started with a connection call, something that's very important to be doing in your business. But we talked about how we feel like so many entrepreneurs, there's so many talented, coaches online, so many amazing female entrepreneurs too, who have mastered getting rich. Getting rich, meaning like they are like crushing it with their multiple six-figure cash months, that they are doing launches one after the other, and they're having great amount of income in their business. But the thing is, this is all earned income. They know how to work and make money, which is great. That's fabulous. But what's more important to me, and it's one of my purposes in my life, and this is what I'm going to continue to do. And I thought, you agreed with this as your vision, that it's not just about making women rich. It's about helping them to understand the importance of wealth and not just having earned income that they have to work for, but having their money make money and create passive income. And one of the things that I'm very proud of and that I do is that, I work a lot in creating earned income in my business, but I don't spend it all. I go and I make sure I invest it into, for me, like real estate's a big part of it. But I know that this is a huge message for you. And you kind of look at your trainings with your clients almost as like a wealth university. Like an academy that they go through. So I'd love to hear your perspective on how you, what your vision is for this and how you help your clients with seeing the importance of building wealth.
So good. I think, just like you said, I think it's a conversation that's so often missed. And I know it's something that you speak a lot about too. So stage one, essentially, we have to get our cash flow under control. Because if we don't have our cash flow under control and we're not having cash in the door, that's going to be our biggest struggle and pain point. Mm-hmm. But just to put in perspective, in my 20s, when I had made my first $1 million and it came through real estate and stock market, and I was only making maybe $40,000 a year. Yeah. So think about that, right? Over $1 million of assets when I was making $40,000 a year. So, yeah. And then working with so many wealthy people over the years, when I came from from working in wealth management, I was basically investing wealthy people's money into the stock market, bond markets, mutual fund markets, like all of that. That was yeah. And what I realized was that the people that had created wealth, they all had different stories. Like some of them had been CEOs of their business. Some of them had worked for a company for years and just was so disciplined about making sure that they were saving for their retirement and having their money work for them and creating passive income along the side. Some of them were executives for companies. So everyone had a different story, but what they all shared in common was they didn't have stories around money any longer. They weren't worried about losing it. They knew that it was a tool that they could use for growth, and the concept of the perception or the like I look at when you like embody wealth, it's not just like money comes in and money goes out, as you've all experienced. It's like you can have money coming into your business as fast as it comes in. It could be like right out the back door, right? It doesn't mean it stays. But living a lifestyle of wealth is where you actually have, like, that's true financial freedom. where it's like, no matter what happens, you know that you're going to be fine. No matter what happens, you can recreate it. No matter what happens, you always have money working for you, and that you're looking at, okay, your income is your highest producing, like typically in someone's business, what you produce in your business and the growth that you produce in your business is typically going to be the highest point of growth for you. And then your passive income is how you take that money and have it multiplying for you so that you're not doing the work to create it. So you're going and creating a lot of the growth. And so typically entrepreneurs, they're putting the majority of their risk in their business because they're investing in ads and they're putting themselves out there and they're investing in their team. And so they're putting a lot of their growth, their risk in their business, but because they know their business inside and out, they have a comfort level with risk there because they know what they can produce. So especially women tend to be much more conservative when it comes to investing because they have a higher value on security and consistency. So women typically will go through greater lengths to put risk in their business and typically want to have a little bit more safety when it comes to the assets that they're producing outside of that and how they can have money working for them. But if you think about it, if you just make the money and it sits in your bank account, you're actually losing money.
Absolutely.
Because like it's draining. You may not think it's draining, but it's draining because inflation, you can't keep up. And so 100%. So you're actually losing money. And if you just follow that path to when, like later on in life, you're just going to keep losing money. You're never going to be able to keep up with it. And when you make investments, whether it's the stock market or housing market, as those markets are growing, you could never save enough to catch up with to get into the market. Like you've got to invest it where you're at, recognizing you got to build up for that as you continue to go through. But I know real estate's a big thing for you. It's been a big thing for us, although we've liquidated a lot of real estate,
right.
You know, just in my perspective of where I believe that things are headed in the marketplace as well. But when you have money working for you, you don't have to work for it. You have like money coming in every month. You're creating revenue, you're creating income. You're looking at how, like, you're looking at tax advisors that are going to help you look at ways that you can save money because you're not just like paying the taxman the money because you're just going through looking at it from such a simplified process. And so you want to really take a look at having all that entire experience of wealth. And if you look at any wealthy person, they have different advisors that are working for them in different areas because they're not the expert in those areas. We're not expected to know all the answers in all these different areas of our life. And so you think about like having a tax advisor. Are you going to be the expert in taxes? No, but having someone that's going to be able to advise you on what you can do differently to be able to save a significant amount of money on your taxes is huge. There's investments that you can do that give you tax savings as well. So you're looking at building your network of advisors. You ultimately get to make the decisions, but you're building your network of advisors all the way throughout. So you have the capacity and the ability to be able to grow, to add additional revenue streams. And when you do that, think about it, like takes the pressure off the revenue growth in your business. Like, okay, so what if like I have a bad month, or so what if this happens? Like I already know I've set myself up to have all of this monthly passive income coming in. I'm going to be fine. And when you take, as your business grows, somehow we lose our fun level. And in the beginning, it's like, it's a game. Can we do this? I don't know. We're just going to go for it. And it's a game and it's fun. And then as you produce bigger results, the game starts to get serious because now it's like, whoa, I have payroll. And now I have like all this output going in and I have all these responsibilities and, oh, I better not lose anything, or I better not slow down because what if I can't keep up with it and the game changes? But what if the game gets to be the game the whole time and it gets to stay fun? Exactly. And that's the game that you want to be playing. And that's what makes it way more fun and enjoyable is like you just look at this multiplication game.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so important. And it's obviously that, you know, it's very obvious that you're an expert of like the strategy of it all. And it's so important that you're saying to have this passive income, to have the money be working for you. I'm sure you teach this as well, but, you know, even if you're a coach online, having a model where you get subscription-based recurring revenue, so you secure future income. But what's really fun here is that I want to just let everybody know I'm having you as a guest because I want people to understand, first of all, how badass you are, how knowledgeable you are, but listen to what she's saying. And I think it's so amazing that you and I didn't talk about this, but you use so many of the terms that I say every day. You said embodying wealth. It's not just thinking and knowing, it's embodying it. But also what's really fun for our people who listen and, they love the business and they love the strategy, but they also love the universal concepts. Everything she's talking about here, I want to tie in like spiritually, like what she just said. So, we talk about, it's important that your money isn't just sitting there. Money has to circulate. This goes with the universal law of rhythm. The tides go out, the tides come in. Tides can't come in if tides don't go out. Okay. So this is understanding, like, you have to make money moves, right? Like, you have to have your money move in order for you to be making greater sums. But at the same time, why? We look at a bank account and we see the savings and we just want the savings to keep adding to it, but we get upset if it goes down. It's different if you're investing it. You're not spending it, you're investing it so you get a return. But at the same time, if you just have money sitting in an account, as she was saying, it's going to go down regardless because inflation's going up. But at the same time, that's like putting water into a bathtub. You fill that water, and if you just sit there, you can have a great bath. It's wonderful. You get out, but if you don't drain it and then refill it and then drain it and refill it, what happens? It sits there. It becomes stagnant. When it becomes stagnant, all that film comes up the top and then it turns into bacteria and gets toxic. It gets nasty. Anything that remains still and doesn't grow and doesn't flow, if it's not going out and coming in, it will become toxic. And it's the same thing with your money. It's the same thing with your energy. It's the same thing, honestly, with your spirit too. If you're not just staying comfortable and you're not moving and getting out of your comfort zone, going in and out, it happens the same way. So it's really fun to hear her perception. And I totally agree with all of it about, when it comes to your money. But I just think it's so beautiful that there's women like you out there really educating others about the importance of this and how to make money in your business, but also what to do with it and how to like manage it outside. So I think that's fabulous. We have a lot of people watching today, so I just want to give a shout out. Magdalene's here. Tawanda, hi there. Thanks for being here. Hey, Mona, thanks for being here. She says, Christina is speaking the absolute truth. Yes, I love it. So something special about today. And of course, I always have, when I'm a guest on a show, I would have something else to say. So if there is, make sure you do. But I would love to let everybody know that you have a gift for them today. This is special. This doesn't usually happen. So Christina is actually offering a gift to our listeners today. We're going to make sure that we post this inside our Facebook group, The Spiritual Success Sorority. And if you're listening to the podcast, it will be in the description. So can you share what the gift is that you're sharing? Any last words? And then also, two, how is it that people should be following you online?
Yes, absolutely. So, and you can pick this up at deliveryourgenius.com/Cynthia. I know you'll have the link dropped in. So it's the Grow Your Group bundle. I feel like your group is like the center hub of what you get to create within your business, the connection you get to create. So there's 3 things in there. The first one is, and this is something that we've actually sold in the past, but I'm gifting it to you for free. It has, it has the perfect naming blueprint for your Facebook group, because your name is like that first decision, is someone going to join or not. So it goes through a Facebook naming blueprint and a process to go through that. It has the perfect intro post. So sometimes we don't know how to effectively introduce ourselves. Like, we think, what are we supposed to say? How are we supposed to introduce ourselves? How can we sound legit and we know what we're talking about, but also still connect and be a human? And as women, sometimes we expect that people are just going to figure out what we're good at or figure out how we can help them. And so this perfect intro post is really going through and giving you a framework on how people can see like your massive credibility and how you can help them, how to vulnerably connect with them, and how to like just be a human, a normal human, so that they can that they see you as a human rather than just this person that's going to make a big difference, but like you're so far away from them. We want to create connection, and so that's an opportunity to do that. And then the third piece is how to grow your group. So it's a little mini course on how to grow your group and just some of the steps that you can do to be generating new members coming into your group. So it's a little grow your group bundle that you can go pick up.
That's awesome. Thank you. I feel like Oprah, and you get one, and you get one.
And you get one. There you go.
So that's complimentary. Thank you for that for our listeners. That's a huge, amazing gift. I appreciate you offering that. And then what is the best way for people to follow you online?
So Deliver Your Genius on Facebook is where we've got tons and tons of trainings. So I'm going to recommend that you go on there. There's loads of trainings that you can catch up on, and that's one of the best places. And then Instagram is at Christina.Jandali on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And we'll have all those links for everybody here, which is, we'll make sure that those are up. And then I just want to say a big thank you again. I absolutely I'm waiting. I don't know why you don't have it yet, but the podcast, you're going to have that podcast. I can't wait to hear that. I feel like you'd be amazing on that. But regardless, I just love meeting you. I love connecting with you. We have so much in common. And I think today was really special. We have a lot of people just commenting here. Meddy's here. She's saying this is absolutely brilliant. Wendy saying, thank you so much. That's so generous of you. We got Mona saying, again, that Christina's definitely speaking the truth, big takeaways and all the things here. So we loved having you today. Thank you so much. Did you have any final words or anything that you'd love to mention? I know I always think of like one last thing. So I just want to make sure you have the opportunity.
I know there's always there's so many things. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I was just going back to what you were sharing before. I mean, our first connection was multiple layers of connections that ended up having a conversation and just realizing wow, what can we do? How can we collaborate? How can we best support each other? And I think that's so often missed, that people go through connecting with people thinking hey, what's in it for me? How am I going to connect with someone that's going to be a potential client? Or just get rid of the expectation for a moment when you think about connecting with people, because you never know where relationships go. You never know if it's someone, a potential collaborator, maybe it's a potential client, maybe it's someone that just knows someone that is the key for you to something that you want to create in your life, and you had no idea that was the person. And if you discount someone because it's okay, they're not an ideal client for me, or they're not this and that way, and you fail to really create that connection and see where things land, you really miss the opportunity on building that exponential network as well. So I really wanted to just bring home is just stay open without expectation. And when you do that, you build these amazing relationships. And, Cynthia, you and I'm sure we're going to be connected for a long time and have so many crossovers in so many different areas, and just, having the opportunity for idea sharing. But again, that started from just a connection, not knowing where things were going to land.
And like you said, take the pressure off it. It's not about selling. It's serve, 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 serve.
Yeah.
So serve some more. And when you put other people first, it's like attracts like. They're going to put you first. You're going to be top of mind. I have met all my accountability partners, women all over the world, online. My best friends, I meet online because there's not that many people in my neighborhood who are doing what I'm doing online. So we exchange, and it's meeting online and getting comfortable with connecting. So it's always through others that you're going to be improving. And I tell people too, well, Cynthia, I'm not a business owner, so why do I need to connect with other people? I'm not selling anything. Why do I need to connect with other people? Here's the thing. If you do anything, if you have a career where you're around other people, guess what? You're selling. When you have to be connected to other people, that's how it's going to work. Because why do you get promoted? Because you sold yourself, right? It's understanding it's through other people that you're going to have success. Always. That's it. Always. So I totally agree with that. And I think that was great wisdom there. She keeps bringing it. I love it. But thank you again so much for having us. And to all of our listeners today, thanks for hanging out with us for this Inner Feminine Beast interview. Until next time, acknowledge it, embrace it, see it through.